Dun 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 dun. Alright, so welcome back. We are going to go ahead and start programming our next section of our TextRPG. We opened up our file in the Sublime Text Editor, and we're going to go ahead and start working on some game functionality. I do need to add one thing up here under player setup. I'm going to add a self.location, and that's going to be at the start. So what we're setting up down here is the map of the game. So I'm going to go ahead and make some comments so that I know that this section right here is for the map. So I'm going to also add my 3 quote marks, which means anything after this is going to be a comment and not be anything code. So I'm just going to say player starts at location A1, which will make some sense once I actually draw this out. It may be helpful to actually have a piece of paper and draw out your grid or map and then reference back to that. For this tutorial, I'm just going to have a very simple 3x3 grid, and I am going to actually set it up in the comments here so that you all can see it as well. So I'm just going to have A1, B1, C1, and then I'm going to use my dashed lines, use my tall lines, and it's automatically adding the periods after I double space, which I don't really want. I'm going to go ahead and delete those. Let's go ahead and go down to the next line. As you can see, it's creating a grid for me. Boom. Delete. Whoops. I'm going to make another row of lines. Boom. Getting closer. One last one. Whoops. So you can see it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is my 3x3 grid map of what my game map looks like. So this one over here is C1. As I go down the column, it's C2, and down a column again, it's to the next row, C3. And then across the bottom here, I have A3, A4, A5, whoops, sorry, B3, C3. So they all correspond with the boxes here, here, and here, and then we have what, B2 in the middle here. Alright, I can end my 3 quotes so that I can actually start programming my map. Alright, so let's see. Each square on my map is going to need a certain number of things for it. So let's say each square is going to need a zone name, and each square is going to need a description. Each square is going to need to have information in case we need to examine what's in the room. If the square has been solved, this is going to be true or false. So these are those booleans that we have been learning about in all of our other programming on the websites that we've been using. So a Boolean is either true or false. And then also the directions, so up, down, left, right, and we're going to have those be if the user types up or north. And then down would be down or south. And left would be left or west. And right would be right or east. Whoops, put that in single quotes. Alright, we're going to go ahead and continue on, moving down into our map. So we need to keep track of each square, and if the user has solved whichever portion of the map we want them to solve. So we need to have an array of values, so A1, B1, C1, A2, B2, C2, A3, B3, C3, and keep track of which ones are false or true according to the solved. So we're going to call this array of values solved places equals, and we're using the squiggly quote. I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter in between there, and a single quote. Which box am I going to do first? So A1, and it has the value currently of false because it has not been solved, comma, single quote, B1, value of false. So all of them are going to be false because no one has solved any of the squares yet. So to keep this organized, I'm just going to lay it out so it looks very similar to my map. So I'm just going to put A2 here, false, B2. It can just be one giant list of information, but for ease of reading, it's probably, whoops, man, I can't spell false today. Easier to have it look like the map that it already is. A3, false, B3, false, oh my gosh, false. Oops, single quotes, don't forget that. And there is the end of our array of values. Alright, let's continue on to the next section. This is going to be called the zone map. And this is where it gets crazy because there's a lot of information. Each square is going to have all of this information in it. So let's dive right in. We're going to have A1 and then another squiggly, and all the information for A1 is going to be in there. We're going to go down and we're going to have A2 colon squigglies. So each square is going to have its own setup right here. So then I'm going to go ahead and copy all the information there and paste it in here. So A1 has its own zone name, its own description, its own examination. Alright, so let's go ahead and say this is the home space or the start space. This is where the user starts. Description. What is the description? So this is what it's going to be. So You are inside. There is a locked door and 2 passages. Just go ahead and give them some little information about where they are. If they type in examine or try to get information, this is what you're going to tell the user. So you are at the start. Nothing has changed. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Solved is still false. And then we need to look at our map here, because the user is not going to be able to move up and not going to be able to move left. So up is going to have no information because they can't move that direction, and left is going to have no information because they can't move that direction. So we're going to leave them with some single quotes and nothing available. And then you're going to have to go back up to the map again and see what grid or location on your map is to the right and what location is to the south or down. So instead of down and south, you need to put in that information. So down is going to be A2. So I'm going to put single quotes A2. So if they type down, now we know that A2 is down from A1. And that's where they're going to end up if they move down. And if they move right, it's going to be B1. And we're going to continue that. Don't forget to add a comma after this value, after this squiggly. And now we're going to move on to A2. So again, I'm going to make sure I have all this information copied. And I'm going to paste it in for A2. Oops, 3 tabs. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And comma after that one. Let's see, A2 is going to be over here, so I'm going to go ahead and call that west wall. And we're going to go ahead and just continue down the list. A3, colon, squiggles, comma, enter. Just making sure I have all of them. So let's start over. B1, colon, squiggles, comma. And again, you can just copy and paste things that are so super repetitive. So B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3. So go in and change 2, 3, C, C2, C3. And then go in, copy all our information, paste, 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 2 more, paste. So you can begin to see how intense this game is going to be, setting up each different square with more information in it. So if you had an even larger map, think to the game that we played of Zork, where it just moved on forever in one direction, or there was a maze. Maybe there's like a looping area where if you continue going right, it starts going back and you're over on the left again. So it's going to be pretty crazy. We're just going to keep it simple with a 3x3. If you want to, you can make it even more simple and just do a 2x2. But 3x3 seems kind of nice because you can move all the way around, and I'm going to put something in the center of mine. So we're going to continue on naming all of our stuff. I'm going to change downs, lefts, and rights to match where they need to be, and I will upload a screenshot of my final code so you can figure out from there if yours matches, or if you want to name things differently for your zone names, you can have different names than I have. But your up, down, left, and rights will probably all be the same. Good luck, and see you in the next one. Dun 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 dun.